Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this month's hearing of the Tuscaloosa Historic Preservation Commission. My name is Kathy Pagani. I'm the chair of the commission. Today's date is November 8th, 2023, and the time is 5 o'clock p.m. I'd like to invite, thank you, I now have volume there. I'd like to invite my fellow commission members to introduce themselves to you, beginning on my right, please.
Mary Harmon Young.
Matt McCool.
William Edwards.
Jordan Morris.
Francine Wasden.
Sally Davis.
Joseph Cox.
Thank you. And joining us from city staff this evening, we have Mr. Chad Hobbs, who is the Associate City Attorney, Mr. Hudson Cheshire, who is the Assistant City Attorney, Mr. Zach Pons, the Director of Planning, and Ms. Hemley Hayes, the Associate Director of Planning. Providing audiovisual support for us this evening is Mr. Kevin Jones. I'd like to go over the statement of purpose of the Historic Preservation Commission and then go over our procedures for this evening before we hear our first application. The general purpose of the Historic Preservation Commission is that we serve to preserve and protect the buildings, sites, and structures of historic significance in Tuscaloosa's historic neighborhoods. We are governed by Chapter 20, Article 2 of the Code of Tuscaloosa, which includes design guidelines that are posted on the city's website. Our decisions are based on these design guidelines and do not consider use or occupancy. We do consider such factors as architectural style, appropriateness of materials, and how the structure relates to other structures in the immediate neighborhood in determining the appropriateness of the application. An approval of an application requires 5 affirmative votes. If the certificate is approved, there will be a final inspection by city staff of these approved applications to ensure compliance with what was approved by the commission this evening. Little bit on our procedure tonight. This is a public hearing. It is televised live on local cable, streamed online through Facebook, and is being recorded to be posted on the city's website. We ask proper decorum, civility, and respect for others at all times. Prior to this meeting, notice was sent to adjacent property owners, and the public has been notified of the applications to be presented tonight. This hearing is a chance for the applicant to present his or her case, for the public to make their views known about the project, and for the commission members to gather relevant facts about the application before making its decision. We will begin with city staff introducing the application. The applicant will then have a chance to make any comments. The commissioners will then have an opportunity to ask the applicant questions about the case. I will then open the hearing to public comment. At the close of public comment, the commission will then discuss the matter and vote on the application. Anyone wishing to speak on behalf of another person, group, or entity shall provide written authorization to the chairperson from that person, group, or entity being represented. Immediate family members, and we define that as a spouse, a parent, or a child, do not have to provide such written authorization when speaking on behalf of another immediate family member. We ask that you leave the signs in the yard. City staff will be out in the next few days to pick them up. Commission members, we have received a synopsis of the previous meeting. I move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of the same unless there are any deletions, additions, or corrections. Do I have a motion to approve and have a second for said synopsis?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Thank you. And we will vote. Let's begin on my left, please. Mr. Cox?
Yes.
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 Thank you very much. The commission members have had a chance to review tonight's agenda items. Do any of the members have a conflict of interest as defined by Section 6 of the commission bylaws with any of these items? All right, hearing none, we shall move on. I would like to ask city staff, has proper notification been provided for each of the agenda items?
It has.
Thank you very much. And let's move on to our first application. Thank you.
Good evening, Commission. We'll start with our first case of the night, HPC 5123. Scott Russell petitions for a certificate of appropriateness to construct a covered front porch and to change the siding material on the primary structure located at 23 Guildswood in the Guildswood Historic District, Council District 4. So here's an aerial view of that property with the primary structure. And then a vicinity map so you can see where it is. The subject property at 23 Gilswood. The adjacent northern property at 45 Gilswood and 44 Gilswood. The proposal is to remove vinyl siding and replace with hardy lap siding. They also propose to construct a cover over the front porch that will mimic the style of the portico at 45 Gilswood. So here is that primary structure. Get a little closer view of that existing entryway. And this, again, is what the proposal is planned to mimic, that property that is just north. So here is a view of the existing with that vinyl siding and the applied molding over the entryway and the proposed hardy lap siding and the new portico. The materials, again, are the hardy lap siding. The covered porch will include wood columns, siding, and covered entry materials will also be hardy. The applicable design guidelines. Do you have any questions for staff?
Quick question, do we have any dimensions on how far out this portico is going to come from the facade?
We do not, but I'm sure the petitioner, he's here in person, he can answer that.
All right, so you're just provided with elevations?
Correct.
What do we know about the structure in terms of its age and any information that was supplied to the historic, when it was added? The historic registry or whatever it is.
When this
Yeah.
structure was originally built, I'm gonna pull it up.
Well, typically we have like a little bit of information for when the application was made about the structure that has maybe the age of the structure.
We've got it. I know we have it in the staff
In the
report.
packet, that little summary that usually
Yes.
is in the packets?
We can pull that up, the original. It is in the staff report in the packet. This is a contributing structure. It's colonial revival, which also 45 Gilswood is as well.
Ms. Hayes, can you show us that previous view of the front facade? And then can you show us again the structure across the street? All right, and let's go back to the, there we go, thanks.
So the information in the staff report about the history of it, so it's 1935 is the year built. It is a contributing structure in the Gilswood Historic District. And I can just kind of read the survey if you want me to.
Does it have any information about the architecture of the structure?
It doesn't, not specifically the architecture above the entryway.
It just states like 2-story wood frame, brick cladding on the first floor, side gable roof and asphalt shingles, 2 brick end chimneys and brick caps. Second floor has 3 8x8 double hung 8x8 double hung sash windows with flanking wooden louvered shutters. It doesn't specify kind of that detail, the architectural detail.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you, Ms. Hayes. I'd like to invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come up to the podium, please. And we would like it if you could state your name and address for the record.
Scott Russell, I'm with Trick Construction.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. So how far out is this portico going to come
It's
from?
roughly 5 by 7, the footprint of the existing patio. The stairs are like the landing there where the stairs come up.
Mhm. So it's 5 feet out from the building and 7 feet across?
Mhm.
Okay.
Is the flagstone patio staying?
We're gonna repair it, and we gotta make it about a foot wider to do what we need to do, but it needs repair. It's maybe 6 feet wide now, so we're gonna make it just a little bit wider so it'll be symmetrical with the door. And in order to land the columns, we'll need a little bit more room. See, it doesn't go past the door, but maybe a foot now, so we're gonna increase it about 6 inches on either side.
Is any design element of the applied molding remaining?
Meaning, no, sir, if we build the portico on the front, then you would see that square portico like on 45 would replace that and everything. Right now, so no, to answer your question.
Are the lanterns or iron railing, is there any plans for those?
The iron railing will remain, but it will just be reconfigured between the front of the column and back into the house. Because the column will basically be in front of the railing. The lights will remain.
Well, I have a question. I'm not quite sure how to phrase it exactly. If we can go to the front facade of the house, please. So there's some really interesting architectural detail here that's existing. Had you considered incorporating that into this portico addition?
I see what you're saying, maybe putting a keystone or a marquee on the front of the pullout. I think that's a great idea. Most of that applied molding is new, or it's been replaced or redone. I don't think I can tell you it's not from 1935, so.
Yeah.
And then they've got vinyl siding J-channel just run around the top of it, and the windows are trimmed with little pieces of vinyl, so we want to make it more period correct and, do a wider molding around the windows and do a lap siding and stuff like that to give it a little bit more curb appeal, for lack of a better term.
That'll be an improvement for sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because I mean, the pediment, which I just learned that fancy word that's above the door, is, I knew I had seen it in the Colonial Revival, and there's lots. To me, that's the fancier one with the kind of the circulars. There are others where it's just kind of like a triangle. So there's lots of different options, but I'm sad to see the pediment idea from the Colonial Revival completely go away. So I think if the owners are open to doing some sort of a nod to the pediment in a Colonial Revival,
Like removing
architectural stance.
the jar, the base, we could put it back. It'll have crown molding all the way around it, so that piece, for lack of a better term, that looks like a vase, could be applied to the front of the structure.
And along those same lines, what are the columns, I think it said are wood columns, but are they going to have any of the fluting that we see on kind of the applied columns?
The only thing I've spec'd out so far was just a round column with a capital and a pedestal. So I would imagine we could do a fluted column also, if that was.
Please go ahead.
So I think the question that I have is, can this be mimicked to go out rather than it being square? Could there be a possibility that this just be taken off and extended out and it still be the same type of design rather than a square with this in the middle of the square? Do you see what I'm asking?
Yes, ma'am. And the homeowner asked me they pointed at 45 and said, this is the look we want.
the
So,
look.
right. I imagine you could pull out a gable roof, but I'm not sure how it would look
Right.
being that smaller scale, just to come out away from the house and not be applied to the structure.
Structure, okay.
Well, but even though it might not have been there in 1935, there's a provision in the guidelines for recognizing as historic something that has been added since then, and that's become part of the vision of the house. And I suspect that's what's happened here. And we seem to be of a mind that you would lose something just to make it square instead of having a pediment, and losing the vase or whatever it is there, an urn, and losing the fluting on the columns, because that's been part of the house for a very long time.
So we could put the vase there and it would still have the crown molding, and we could use fluted columns instead of round to help pull a similar look out.
I mean, I think if you look at 45, if we can go back to 45, I mean, that is, well, it's different, but, we're looking at fluted columns that have some sort of little detail between where the fluting stops and there's the capital at the top. There's some sort of dental molding under the gutter, and then we have ornate ironwork above that. So I guess what I'm saying is, if we're going to a 45 style, this is a very nice portico, and are we doing a very nice portico on the other house?
Yes. We spec'd out, I think in the email that I sent to Jonathan, everything but the iron railing on the top, because they were putting enough real estate between the windows and the new structure to add the ironwork on top of the roof.
And we go back to the subject. Would it be possible to simply extrude I mean, if you look at 45, the fluted pilasters that are next to the door also exist against the house as pilasters on 45. In this instance, based on the commentary that we're getting from the commissioners about the importance of this broken pediment element, would it be possible to simply let the porch element be fluted columns and then the cornice board that runs across the front brought out, as opposed to eliminating that's applied to the currently on the house? If that is of value to the style of this, based on the comments that I'm hearing. Would that be something that would?
I don't think the homeowner would be opposed to integrating some of that into it. The basic thing they've said to me is, hey, we want something similar to 45, so, you know.
I mean,
obviously
effectively,
we could
45
put
would be what I described, which is bringing a pair of columns out, bringing the cornice board that runs across the bottom of that pediment, and then leaving that pediment in place as opposed to removing it, might be a happy medium.
Right, that's fine.
And would somebody have to actually do some wood turning to create the little, the round?
Oh, I would
piece?
leave it applied to the structure. I
Oh, I see.
wouldn't bring it out
I
to
got you.
exist at the outside edge.
I see.
Yeah, I think that's in my mind what I was envisioning, but you can tell you have more of the architectural words and images to use. So thank you, Jordan.
I think it also will help to leave the pilasters because the elevation shows the brick returning at the door, and if all of that were to be removed, that would require a lot of other kind of.
I think what would
Stuff
help
to
me
happen.
is a new drawing that responds to some of these suggestions. I don't think I would feel comfortable voting for it otherwise.
I'm wondering if Mr. Morris can restate what you had suggested a minute or so ago.
I'm happy to make a motion and let it go as, however, but I would think that the petitioner might want to, we might want to discuss continuance as well.
Exactly.
In the interest of time.
And we also have, look for public comment, if there's anyone here for public comment as well, before we make a motion. But I wanted you to just sort of, just rephrase, we've had a lot of discussion here, just rephrase for the benefit of the applicant.
I mean, essentially, it would be to modify the petition to keep the broken pediment element as part of the new porch, as opposed to its removal.
The other great thing about that is, we often look at, hey, we're adding something on, but it can be taken back off. So we wouldn't be interfering with the existing woodwork, and of course, there's some good improvements that are going to happen with getting rid of this J channel and the vinyl siding.
Right.
Well, the way the vinyl siding is cut around, that is just odd.
Yeah.
It's very
When
odd.
when the hardy siding is put up, is that going to go behind the pediment?
Let me make sure I understand what you're asking me.
So currently,
Yes, the lap siding would continue where the roof doesn't protrude. So if you imagine that, not there and siding across, it would run up to the sides and over the top. I guess the crown molding detail would come out and wrap around the portico.
And Jordan, how are you imagining the roof would attach at the pediment?
Fearing my heading down a rabbit hole here. If you look at the top of the pilasters where the broken pediment sits on top of that horizontal cornice board, that would effectively extrude out and form the porch. And that would sit on top of 2 columns. So the porch roof element would be fairly thin. You probably would need to have some thickness that would carry the top of those. The further we go with this, the more we need to see more information.
I think, like what Commissioner Davis said, I think this can be done. I think they can get what they want, but we want it to be nice and responsive to the house. We want to keep as much as we can, and we are interested in making sure the details are nailed down. And a drawing would be very helpful.
Okay. I can generate a better representation drawing.
Well, I think given what the discussion has been, and that we didn't have full dimensions on the drawing, the depth of this portico that you're putting up here, and with these changes and suggestions and some of the concerns the commission has, I wonder if it's best if we continue it until next month, and you provide good drawings, keeping that broken pediment, showing how it's all going to fit together. Then we have a better understanding of what's going to happen with that hardy siding behind there and all of that. I mean, are you okay with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think it's just a cleaner way of going. We can talk about this and try to visualize it, but I think we're just getting things a little bit more confused. And I think that might be the cleanest and the best way for us to go.
Okay.
So if you're amenable to a continuation, then do I have a motion to continue?
Motion to continue.
A motion?
Do we need to go ahead and cover public comment in case someone's here?
All right, yes. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you. So, Mr. Russell, if you don't mind, have a seat for a second. Let me open the floor to public comment. Anybody here to speak in support of or opposition to or have any comments on this application? I will close the floor to public comment. And now I will entertain a motion for a
Motion
continuance.
to continue.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, and we will vote. Ms. Young?
Yes.
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 So, Mr. Russell, we'll continue this till next month. You've heard the comments, and just provide some good, clear drawings on what you intend to do, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you so much.
Okay, our last case of tonight, HPC 5223. Kelly Fitz petitions for a certificate of appropriateness to demolish an existing garage, to construct a carport, to construct an addition on the rear of the primary structure, and for exterior alterations to the primary structure located at 31 Audubon Place in the Audubon Place Historic District, Council District 4. So here's an aerial view of that property with the primary structure, and then a vicinity map. Here's a view of that primary structure. The adjacent northern property, southern property, and western. The proposal is for a new addition located at the rear of the primary structure. In addition, they are proposing to construct a storage building and a carport, as well as a new stone retaining wall in the front yard. Again, a view of the primary structure. We're going to continue around to that existing retaining wall. And then here are some photos provided by the petitioner of the rear property. So here is an existing site plan. Everything that you see highlighted in blue is what is to be demolished. You can see that retaining wall, the existing garage, porch, and patio area. And then everything in green is what is being proposed as the new construction. So you can see that new carport, storage building, the addition on the house, as well as that new retaining wall. With this, I will note that some of this has been approved via expedited review by city staff. but the things that you are seeing tonight are listed among those numbered items. So here is a side-by-side of the existing floor plan as well as the proposed floor plan. You can see where that addition is. They're proposing a bedroom, then the carport, and a new porch. Here is the existing west elevation as well as the proposed. So you can see that new carport. This is going to be the front of the house from Audubon Place with that new retaining wall. And just a note on this, to make it very clear, this is open, and this is as if you were looking from the street into this. So the existing south elevation and proposed, you can see where that new addition is going to go at the rear of the property. The existing north and proposed north elevations with that carport, as well as the addition behind it. And then finally, the existing east elevation. So this is the rear of the primary structure. You can see how that addition and the porch, as well as the new carport, are going to look from the rear. And I'll make note too, this is the back of it, so that's where you can walk out into the backyard. The proposed roof, siding, and foundation materials will match the existing materials on the primary structure. The retaining wall will be comprised of stone. The windows will be aluminum clad wood, and the storage shed will be made of wood. And I also confirmed that the carport is going to match the materials of the primary structure. So here are those material spec sheets with that hipped shed. The applicable design guidelines. Do you have any questions for staff?
I think we're good. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Let me invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come on up to the podium, and we will need all of you to state your name, address for the record, please.
Kelly Fitz couldn't be here tonight, so I am here as a substitute. My name is Evans Fitz. I live at 19 Audubon Place. We are the designers of the project, and I wanted to introduce you to the owners, Jill and David Respass, and let them present the project to you, and if I can fill in any technical details.
That sounds good.
Hi, I'm Jill Respass, and my husband and I have been enthusiastic game day buyers here in Tuscaloosa. We loved it so much that we started to pursue finding a bigger house, and we looked all over Austin trying to find something like this, and here it was. So when we zeroed in on Audubon Place and Pinehurst, we knew that we found something really special, and we felt like we were kind of appointed to carry it on.
Yeah, I mean, just some background information. So our primary residence is Austin, Texas. And where we got to Tuscaloosa, our son's a junior at University of Alabama. I'm getting longer in the tooth, so I became an adjunct professor at the University of Alabama. So I'm a software engineer. That's what I do. I work for a company called Blackbaud. We do a lot of higher education use our product for donations and things like that. But I'd like to retire here, right, is what we're thinking. And we just love the street. We love the house. And our intent is to, give this house the respect and love it deserves. That's really what we want to do. It's been, hasn't been given that, right, over the last several years. So that's what we're trying to do with these changes.
Yeah, so 4 sides of the house were inundated with water. So that's the front, the back, the side, and the roof. So we've begun some of the process of encapsulating the basement, and now we know that we're going to make structural changes to help with the drainage. That's the biggest problem, that it's coming down. We're on the top of the hill, and it's coming right into the house. So,
So we've done a lot of the foundation work already, just because that had to get done really pretty quickly, just with all the water that keeps coming in. That's part of the changes that you're seeing in the backyard, is so they can do some natural stuff. I don't know all the stuff, you would know it better than I do, but so it captures the water, and it just doesn't all sit in our crawl space, which is what it's been doing the last many years.
and the barnacle, or the garage feature, is really, is not usable because it's not large enough to accommodate a car. And the other problem is it has been so saturated with mildew is that you don't want to really put anything in there, or else it will smell like mildew. So really, our intent is to bring it up, bring it back to its glory.
And then one more little thing that I don't think we called out, we were going to make that driveway a little bit wider. It's like a super skinny driveway. I've never had a shared driveway in my life, but that's what a lot of these old homes have. So, our neighbor needs to be able to park, and right now we're kind of like, it's pretty funny up there. From Texas, a lot of people have pickup trucks. You couldn't drive a Texas truck up in this driveway, if you block everybody. So we're going to widen that a little bit, just from not going to impose on our neighbors, but on our yard, cut that out some, so you can actually pull down and, it's pretty intense every time you have to back out of that driveway. And there's a giant magnolia tree, which we love, but it's, it feels like I'm getting ready for battle every time we back out of this thing. So anyway, I just want to make sure y'all knew that, if you weren't aware. And I think that's probably enough, Chad.
Well, I'll just say on behalf of the Historic Preservation Commission, welcome to the historic neighborhoods in Tuscaloosa, and thank you for bringing your application before us and letting us take a look at this before you start the work. The drawings are great, very clear. Do we have some questions here for the Respass, Mr. and Mrs. Respass?
I have one question. I noticed that the two dormers are scheduled to be demolished, and then you're going to rebuild identically? Is that correct?
What part of this?
The dormers,
There's
one in the back.
one dormer being taken off, and we'll recreate it on the new roof.
The same dimensions and
Yeah,
everything?
It'll be the same, it won't be probably the same material, but it'll be the exact same.
Is it
design.
rotted?
Pardon?
Is it rotted?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's.
The roof it sits on would be inside the attic. So with the addition consumes that surface of roof. So the dormer would need to be reconstructed on the new rear portion.
Okay.
And one little thing, I just want to make sure that we have, just get it out there on the record. So we did have some public comment. 2 emails were sent into the city staff, both supporting this. One concern was the neighbor's right that they have no objection to the proposal as long as there is no alteration or no impairment of the longstanding use of and access to the shared driveway between the properties. So just to make sure that we've addressed that, the access will be there, it's all.
It is a difficult situation, but we're not making it worse.
Yeah.
It's a little bit better, but not drastically better. Actually expanding the driveway and allowing more back out pull-in room does make it better, but it's still, there's a big magnolia tree at the street, so we really can't widen the drive very much. So that's.
Yep, that's all we needed to know. Thank you so much.
I think we'll be able to pull in, when we get, because the garage, you can't park a car in there, right? It's like a tiny man's garage. So you'll pull in there, and then they'll be able to back up, and they won't, because she's probably 6 inches away backing up against our car, so once we be able to pull in all the way, that's gonna make it way better for them.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions about the project? Well, thank you so much, and welcome to Tuscaloosa.
Thank you.
If we have any other questions, we'll bring you back. Let me open the floor to public comment then. Is there anyone here to speak in support of or opposition to the application? All right, and we've already noted that we've had 2 emails sent in support of the project. I will close the floor to public comment. Is there any discussion by commission members?
I just, really appreciate, the approach of the new homeowners coming to town, going through the process, getting us some good, clear drawings, clearly intended to make this old house better and make it work for them, and just always happy to see that.
I want to echo that in that we've done a lot of review of additions, and there's been a lot of scrutiny as to the detailing and how it integrates, and this is an extremely clear example of trying to do that the right way, of removing an addition that was not in keeping with the primary structure and creating an addition that does. I mean, we've had a lot of discussion about rafter tails and eaves and all of that recently, and that all of that integrates completely with the existing primary structure. Again, echoing Mr. Cox, this is very clear and an excellent application.
That's
in my
great,
opinion.
and thank you. Kudos to Mr. Fitz for good, clear drawings, particularly having the proposed.
I believe it was Mrs. Fitz that did the work, if I'm not
Now, that's
mistaken.
true. But I do think Mr. Fitz probably did the drawings. I'm just guessing. But having these with the current and with the existing and with the proposed is really helpful for the commission. So thank you so much for that. I know it took some extra time. All right, that said, are there any
Motion
other?
to approve as presented.
All right, well, we actually have a standing motion to approve, which is super awesome. So any other discussion? No, we're all good. Well, then, you know what? Let's just start with a standing motion to approve HPC 5223, Kelly Fitz, petitions for a certificate of appropriateness to demolish an existing garage, to construct a carport, to construct an addition on the rear of the primary structure, and for exterior alterations to the primary structure located at 31 Audubon Place in the Audubon Place Historic District. We shall vote. Ms. Young?
Yes.
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 Well, Mr. and Mrs. Respass and Mr. Fitz, your application has been approved. Good luck with your project. Should anything change, please see city staff before you move forward with it, but good luck with the project. And thank you for coming before us tonight.
Okay, Commission, the last thing I have for you tonight is we have had 7 expedited review approvals since the last meeting.
Thank you for all that work that you do, you and your staff do. And with that, no further business. I hereby adjourn this hearing of the Tuscaloosa Historic Preservation Commission.